The Body Under the Mattress, 1999, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Guests staying at the Ocean View Motel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, began complaining about a powerful and disturbing odor coming from room 112. Staff dismissed the smell as plumbing problems, sewage issues, or a dead animal. Despite repeated complaints, the room continued to be rented to new guests. Over several days, multiple people slept in the bed, unaware of what was hidden directly beneath them. Each guest noticed the smell, but no one imagined the truth. When housekeeping finally conducted a thorough inspection, they opened the bed's box spring. Inside, they discovered a decomposing human body. The remains were identified as Saul Hernandez. Investigators confirmed that the body had been carefully concealed in a way that delayed discovery. The case shocked the public and permanently changed hotel inspection practices. What had once sounded like an exaggerated warning was proven to be horrifyingly real. The Bunny Man. October 1970, Fairfax County, Virginia. Residents of Fairfax County, Virginia, began reporting disturbing encounters near an old railway overpass. On October 19th, an Air Force cadet and his fiancée were sitting in a parked car near the bridge when a figure emerged from the darkness. The man shouted at them for trespassing and suddenly threw an axe at their vehicle. The axe shattered the passenger side window. 10 days later, a construction security guard reported seeing a similar figure standing on the porch of an unfinished home nearby. The man was chopping at the structure with an axe and yelling threats at anyone who came closer. Police documented both incidents and additional sightings followed. More than 50 reports were filed. Despite investigations and increased patrols, the attacker was never identified or arrested. The overpass remains standing, and the case remains unresolved. The Green Man, 1919 to 1985, Beaver County, Pennsylvania. For many years, drivers traveling along rural roads in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, reported seeing a strange figure walking alone late at night. Witnesses described a man with severe facial disfigurements moving slowly along the roadside. Some claimed that when headlights struck his face, it appeared to glow green, giving rise to unsettling rumors. Over time, the stories grew more exaggerated, and the figure became something people avoided talking about directly. Eventually, the truth behind the sightings became known. The man was not supernatural. His name was Raymond Robinson. In 1919, when Robinson was just 8 years old, he climbed a bridge to look at a bird's nest and accidentally touched a 22,000-volt power line. He survived, but lost his eyes, nose, and right arm, leaving him permanently disfigured. Because of his appearance, Robinson avoided public life. He spent his days crafting leather wallets and belts, and walked at night to avoid frightening others. Ironically, those nighttime walks fueled the rumors. Robinson continued this routine until his death in 1985, remembered not as a threat, but as a man misunderstood by fear. The Toxic Lady, February 1994, Riverside, California. Emergency room staff at Riverside General Hospital in California experienced something they had never encountered before. A woman named Gloria Ramirez was brought in suffering from severe medical distress. As doctors worked to stabilize her, they noticed an unusual oily sheen on her skin and a strong ammonia-like odor coming from her blood. Shortly after blood samples were drawn, hospital staff began collapsing. Doctors and nurses reported nausea, dizziness, breathing difficulties, and muscle spasms. Several staff members fainted inside the emergency room. The situation escalated rapidly. The emergency room was evacuated, and hazmat teams were called in to decontaminate the area. More than 20 hospital employees were affected, and several required hospitalization. Gloria Ramirez died shortly after arrival. Later investigations suggested that a rare chemical reaction involving a pain relief substance she'd been using may have released toxic fumes when exposed to medical procedures. Although later retellings exaggerated the incident with supernatural claims, the real events were disturbing enough to leave a permanent mark on medical history. People in the Walls, 1986, Pepperell, Massachusetts. A family living in Pepperell, Massachusetts began noticing subtle but deeply unsettling changes inside their home. Food would disappear without explanation. Objects were moved from where they had been left. Late at night, strange noises echoed from inside the walls and ceilings, sometimes sounding like footsteps. At first, the family blamed the house itself. They suspected animals, old pipes, or their imagination. But as the disturbances continued, the feeling that someone else was inside the home became impossible to ignore. Eventually, police were called to investigate. During a search of the house, officers made a terrifying discovery. A man had been secretly living inside the walls and crawl spaces of the home, moving through hidden areas and surviving by stealing food while the family was away. He had drilled holes in the walls to watch the family and used narrow openings to move silently through the structure at night. The intruder was identified as Daniel LaPlante, a convicted criminal with a violent history. The case shocked the public public and confirmed that the fear of someone living inside the walls was not imaginary. The Funhouse Corpse, December 1976, Long Beach, California. At the Pike Amusement Park in Long Beach, California, a horrifying discovery was made inside a carnival funhouse. For years, visitors had walked past a hanging mannequin used as a creepy decoration. People posed for photos beside it, brushed past it while laughing, and commented on how realistic it looked. Carnival workers regularly repainted the figure and repositioned it, believing it was nothing more than a well-made prop designed to scare people. Children were often startled by how lifelike it appeared, unaware that their instincts were correct. The truth was revealed during the filming of The $6 Million Man. A crew member attempted to move the hanging figure, something that had been done countless times before. As it was pulled down, one of its arms snapped off. Inside was human bone. Authorities were immediately called, filming was halted, and the attraction was shut down. Medical examiners confirmed that the figure was not artificial. It was a real, preserved human corpse. The body was identified as Elmer McCurdy, an unsuccessful train robber killed in a police shootout in Oklahoma in 1911. When no one claimed his body, a funeral director embalmed it with arsenic and displayed it as a paid attraction. Over the next 65 years, McCurdy's preserved corpse was sold to carnivals, haunted houses, and amusement parks across the United States, repeatedly repainted and reused as entertainment. In 1977, Elmer McCurdy was finally buried, ending one of the most disturbing chapters in carnival history. Corpsey, 1970s to 1980s, Staten Island, New York. During the 1970s and early 1980s, children growing up on Staten Island were repeatedly warned to stay away from certain areas near their neighborhoods. Parents told them to avoid abandoned buildings, wooded paths, and especially the grounds surrounding the Willowbrook State School, a large institution located on the island. Children were warned that a dangerous man had been seen in the area. For many years, these warnings were treated as nothing more than attempts to scare children into staying close to home. Adults assumed the stories would fade as children grew older. Then children actually began disappearing. Throughout the late 1970s and 1980s, several young girls from Staten Island went missing under disturbing circumstances. Investigations revealed patterns connecting the disappearances to areas near Willowbrook and other isolated locations. Police eventually focused on Andre Rand, a former employee of the Willowbrook State School. The institution itself was later exposed for extreme neglect, abuse, and lack of oversight. Rand was convicted of kidnapping and was strongly linked to multiple disappearances, though not every case was officially solved. What unsettled the community most was how closely the crimes matched the warnings children had heard for years. In this case, fear did not create the story. The crimes came first, and the warnings followed. The Vanishing Hotel Guest, 2013, Los Angeles, California. In January 2013, a 21-year-old college student named Elisa Lam was reported missing while staying at the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. After days of searching, hotel security released surveillance footage from an elevator. The video showed Elisa behaving in a deeply unsettling manner, stepping in and out of the elevator, pressing multiple buttons, and appearing frightened and disoriented, as if reacting to something unseen. The footage quickly spread and raised serious concerns about her safety. Days later, hotel guests began complaining about unusual problems with the building's water supply. They reported low water pressure, strange tasting water, and dark discoloration coming from their taps. Maintenance workers were sent to investigate the rooftop water tanks. Inside one of the tanks, they made a horrifying discovery. Elisa Lam's body was found submerged in the water. Investigators later concluded that her death was a tragic accident, likely influenced by mental health struggles. There was no evidence of foul play or criminal involvement. Even so, the strange elevator footage, the delayed discovery, and the circumstances surrounding her death left many people deeply unsettled. The case remains one of the most disturbing real-life mysteries connected to a modern hotel.